Hey everybody, Watch This Review here with part 2 of my 3-part look at the Spider-Man vs. Thing Marvel Legends Showdown starter set. This part will look at Spider-Man, which of course means that part 1, which looks at Thing, is already up, and part 3, the actual look at the game itself, is yet to come. Over here we have Spider-Man, again, in all his packaged glory. Pretty decent looking. Alrighty, so I'm actually not going to recommend this figure. Now, I know a bunch of you watching are probably thinking, what you talking about, Willis? That figure looks awesome like that. Problem is, he doesn't look awesome in a lot of other poses, such as standing up. But enough about that, let's take a quick look at the accessories. Spider-Man comes with a Spidey base, a stand to go with it, and a little fireball launcher. You know, because Spider-Man shot out fireballs. So yeah, impact webbing would probably have been the natural choice, but you don't need to be Mike Mozart to see why that might be a kind of weird idea. Just saying. As with some of the other accessories, this one just clips onto the arm as opposed to forcing him to hold it, which I doubt he would be able to anyway. So why don't I like this figure? Well, let's pose him a little, shall we? Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, these arms snap off way too easily. At first I thought I broke this one just pulling out of the box, but this one's joint's even looser than this one. It'll just come off. I didn't even try, honest, I didn't. But they snap right back in, but it's just a pain in the butt. Speaking of which, the little hole here is much too small for this stand, so when I was first trying to do this, I ended up tossing him accidentally a few times, but get in there. There it goes. I mean, while he's doing these jumping poses, he looks like an awesome figure. However, just standing still, I mean, obviously, ugh, just doesn't look right. Part of it, I think, is because the joints have warped. I'm not sure if it's just because it was in package, exposed to heat, cold, whatever, but this is always a bit more further to that, and the legs are a bit off. I think it might have been designed a bit like that, though, just to give him sort of a default pose, but it just doesn't work. Also, the midsection to upper torso connection by default kind of is off to the side, a little off kilter, which really annoys me. In terms of scale, Spidey's 10 centimeters tall about. That's 4 inches, so I have him up against the Marvel Universe Secret Wars Hulk. Basically all Hulks are the same height, and the Thing from the same 2-pack, just to give you an idea of scale. In terms of articulation, he's basically a mess because the shoulders have an amazing tendency to pop out, although until they pop out for the first time, I guess it feels a little bit firmer, because after this one popped out once, it just seems to pop out a lot easier, and this one's always popped out pretty easy, but you have a point here at the wrist. You'll notice that one hand is in the web shooter pose, the other hand is just open. I guess it's kind of like a gripping pose. I don't know if I'm happy that they didn't go with a fist or not, but wrist has a single point as mentioned, forearm, full 360, double joint at elbow, bicep joint goes 360, shoulder, normal range of motion, it's on that little peg thing, that ball, as you can see. Head goes a full 360 around, in addition to also looking up a little bit. Stupidly, though, he can't look straight up like the Thing figure, which is kind of disappointing considering the fact that he's a web slinger. Torso, shit, won't go full range here. It will go forward back a little bit, and then you can't ever really line everything up, which is really, really annoying. Waist doesn't go 360 either, it's kind of locked in there. I mean, it can, but I feel like I'm breaking the figure every time I get past the mark on each side here. Legs, pretty decent joint. Can also spin around, but mine's kind of fused at the moment, so A double jointed knee. Calf will spin 360. And we have a pretty decent ankle. Goes a little left or a little right. I don't know if it should or shouldn't, but it does. Then it goes a full range back and forward, which is what you kind of need for this character. Now when you're posing him on stand, you can get like a ton of variety out of him, but when he's standing up, it doesn't work at all. Because the limbs and so forth are just too small or too thin to really support the figure in a lot of positions. I guess you could probably finagle a few things, but you won't really see it on this because the felt doesn't work too well. The sculpt and paint is all great though, other than the messed up articulation points. My only big complaint here is they use a darker red for the upper lower body than they have this really brighter red for the midsection there, which I don't understand. Also, you'll notice that the forearm onwards isn't the same shade as around the elbows and so forth. I mean, the muscular detail is pretty decent. I don't know, it's just I have sort of mixed feelings about this figure. Look at that. It's like falling apart here at the leg too. On the whole, I'd probably only give him like a 4 out of 10. Just because he's really built shoddily. I mean, everything else is like kind of decent, but I mean, look at the midsection, it just doesn't look right. And then you have the arms that pop off at a moment's notice. That said, you can get some tremendous looking leaping poses out of him. On the whole, I probably wouldn't go out and buy this guy loose, but if you're buying the 2-pack, I mean, it's definitely an okay addition, but thing is definitely the centerpiece. He just looks awesome, even if his paint is a little off in places. But yeah, until next time, folks.